Moving into our second story of the day, you got Pelosi here. We got clips here of Pelosi, you guys. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi expressed no regret, of course not, during an interview Sunday morning about passing legislation that many experts have basically charged, not even just charged, turbocharged inflation, talking about the stimulus checks that were passed out like hotcakes during COVID-19. No regret, what you expect from the Democrat Party. And by the way, folks, if you haven't hit that like and subscribe button already, make sure you click it. It does help support the channel. Pelosi made her remarks on CBS News Face the Nation with host Margaret Brennan when she was confronted with the reality that Republicans could win back the House of Representatives during next month's midterm elections. Now, it makes me wonder how much of that is reality, or because she's just so old and kind of losing it, kind of falling off a rocker a bit like Joe Biden, maybe she really did finally come to terms with it and just kind of woken up to the fact that they are about to lose in the midterms and get shellacked left and right because, hey, people aren't for child mutilation. They're not for gender affirming care. They're not for critical race theory being taught to their children. Not for this just gender theory indoctrinations taking place in the classroom. They're not for rising gas prices. Not for traumatic inflation. They're not for what's going on with our foreign policy. They're not for what's going on with the U.S.-Mexico border. It turns out the Democrat Party is so out of touch with the average American that they're going to get shellacked come up in a couple weeks here. Quote, it's about getting out the vote. Everything else is a conversation compared to that, she said. But in order to do that, we have to have inspiration. You can't truly run on empty. And the fact is that when I hear people talk about inflation, as I heard him there, we have to change that subject. Inflation is a global phenomenon. Like I said, we had a clip here of her saying this, and folks, sorry to subject you to this, but we got to roll it.
And the fact is that when I hear people talk about inflation, as I heard him there, we have to change that subject. Inflation is a global phenomenon. Yes. The EU, the European Union, the UK, the British have higher inflation rate than we do here. It's not, the fight is not about inflation. It's about the cost of living.
She's just completely out of touch. And there, again, it's continually pointing the finger at everybody else. Well, look at their inflation. They're not as bad as us. It's not as bad. How the hell does that solve the issue? How does that help any American out there going, well, hey, it's not so bad that you can't feed your family because the Europeans are struggling too. Oh, goody. That just makes everybody feel better. She is so out of touch. She is so freaking out of touch. I don't know if she was focusing so much on what the person was actually saying compared to actually making her dentures not fall out of her face. Quote, it's not the fight. It's not about inflation. It is about inflation. Quote, it's about the cost of living, which again is why they keep increasing the minimum wage. They want to increase the federal minimum wage. You got the state of California in some fast food worker restaurants going to increase it from, what is it, $15 an hour now to $22 starting January 1st, which is just mind blowing. Guys, somebody's going to flip a burger or scoop food from a already cooked food onto a styrofoam plate and get paid $22 an hour. Let that one sink in. But again, it just highlights the fact that they're so out of touch. It's not just her. It's literally the entire party's out of touch. Pelosi claimed that the government spending put people back to work, children back in school. I'm sorry. I struggle, you guys, when I'm hearing some Democrats talk. Just try to get these out without laughing. I laugh at everything. That's my true personality. And I try my best to be serious, obviously, on the show because it does aggravate me. But at the same time, just not laugh at freaking everything that they say. And it helped take us through the stage of the pandemic. But on things like spending, those $1,400 checks, putting cash out there, I mean, didn't that end up contributing to inflation? Brennan asked. Do you think have any regrets about the bills you passed, and have you structured them? What do you think Nancy Pelosi is going to say? You think she has any regrets? Of course not. Let's go ahead and roll it.
But on things like sending, those $1,400 checks, putting cash out there. That's right. I mean, didn't that end up contributing to inflation? Do you have any regrets about the bills you passed and how you structured them?
No, absolutely not, because that was necessary for people to survive. Our purpose
was that it was inflationary.
But the point is that when you reduce unemployment, it's inflationary. That is a fact.
You guys, I can't do it. I honestly, God, I can't do it. I mean, some of what she said is true, don't get me wrong, but it's just the fact that she doesn't think that the $1,400 stimulus checks help increase inflation and turbocharged it, which everybody knows it did. And just the way they chauffeured out that whole thing, not everybody needed to receive checks, right? They literally given people checks that didn't need them, that weren't even close to needing them, that were never actually laid off their jobs, that were still working, that own business. I mean, just the way they did it was so asinine. But again, it's the Democrats loving big government. They think the government can solve everything, where you got the conservatives and the Republicans thinking, hey, you know what? The government sucks at everything. Maybe they shouldn't be doing that. Why don't you just open up everything, allow businesses to go back, allow employees to go back to work, put food on the table, get the economy running again, and we can figure everything out. But they didn't want to do it. They'd rather push this COVID-19 narrative out there, make sure everybody gets vaccines, be triple masked, make sure you get 50 boosters. I mean, pushing the whole false narrative that you couldn't contract the virus once you had the vaccine, that you couldn't spread it either. Turned out that was a freaking hocus pocus story, wasn't actually real. Then they switched the narrative on that one. I mean, the litany of things they got wrong with that is truly mind boggling. But as we're repeating ourselves, Democrat Party so out of touch with reality that they literally think the $1,400 checks didn't have to do with inflation. All you could do is laugh. I mean, seriously, this is who they have. And the runner-up, you guys, the runner-ups that they have here is AOC and the squad. Who are they going to chauffeur out? Nancy Pelosi, who's barely making it. The lady that freaking eats ice cream during COVID-19 with a $24,000 freezer. When asked if she would remain in leadership in the new Congress that begins in January, Pelosi refused to answer. Please don't come back, Nancy. Please, for the love of God, don't come back. But here's the question and response.
You told Andrea Mitchell earlier this week, we need generational change, but in some cases, there's no substitute for experience.
Right.
Will you remain in leadership in the new Congress?
I'm not talking about that. I'm here to talk about how we win the election.
But to deliver on all these things.
I was only paying Andrea a compliment for all the experience that she has.
I see.
But the fact is, we need to...
So you may or you may not.
I'm not here to talk about me. I'm here to talk about the future, America's working families, for the children. It's always about the children.
Oh, it's about the children, huh? The same party that wants to freaking have children mutilated by taking off their breasts, their genitals, give them hormone enhancers, puberty blockers. Yeah, you're the party that really cares about children, Nancy. All the while you have inflation going up where children can't be fed. Where literally it was already bad before the Democrats were running the show and Trump was trying to fix it. But now they're going to school just to be fed, not even necessarily get an education, but just eating a hot meal because they can't go and get one at home. Yeah, you're really the party of Americans and helping people get back to work. All the while you're allowing over 2 million illegal immigrants coming through the border. We have numbers going upwards of 5 million illegal immigrants coming through the U.S.-Mexico border with about 1 million gotaways. You have upwards of 22 million illegal immigrants in the United States, the interior of the United States as of right now. But no, you're all for Americans. You want to make sure people get back to work. You're all about the children, when in reality, you're not. It's a bunch of BS, you guys. And you know what? Go out and vote this November and show them how much they got it wrong, how much they're not there to support you. You don't even have to be a Republican to see that. You could be a Democrat and independent and go, these people are out of touch. They don't have a clue. They literally look at everything around you. Read the comments down below and you'll see Democrats in there going like, oh no, he's still better than Trump. At least Trump didn't try to take over the country. At least they didn't invade January 6th. Fabulous argument. I mean, January 6th, everybody agrees with the debacle. But if you really think January 6th was an actual attempt to take over the United States government, you're an idiot. You really are actually dumb if you believe January 6th was a great attempt for people to take over the government. It worked out real well. It's so stupid. Again, and I'm not for January 6th. I think it was wrong. I think it was bad. But to say oh, well, the guy should be in jail. He shouldn't allowed to be run for president. He was terrible. Look at what Joe Biden's doing, okay? Joe Biden is trash. The guy can't even stay awake during an interview. He falls asleep, loses his train of thought, fights with his teleprompter, doesn't know his wife's name, doesn't know his staff's names, look for dead people in the crowd, looking for dead supporters. I mean, the whole shebang. But no, you're right, Democrats. Yeah, no, Joe Biden's doing a fabulous job and everybody sees it. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.